what else do we have for you? Okay, our second special segment for today is Eurodollar Stormy September. Okay, so Eurodollar did begin moving out of range, but the moves are still slow. Let's begin with the problems in Europe and how they're boiling a bit on the back burner, but they could come back to the forefront quite soon. First of all, there's speculation about the ECB. Will they do more or not? Let's add the date here. It's September 8th, okay? That's when they meet. And this meeting is important. Why? Because they have new forecasts, like the Fed does every 3 months. So there are more important meetings and less important meetings. This is a more important meeting. Secondly, traders are back from vacations, and the hype will be even higher, okay? Then what else can they do? Cut the deposit rate by another 10 basis points? Possible, but the only reason for doing that would be to be able to buy more bonds, because they have a limit on buying bonds. Bonds that have yields lower than 0.40, minus 0.40, are ineligible for ECB buying. Will they add more QE, but they're running out of stuff to buy? Will they do something else? Will they say, okay, we're done, governments need to do more? So lots of speculation, and I believe this will cause action towards the event on September 8th and afterwards. Of course, we'll talk more in detail when we get closer to the event, but this is a big ECB meeting. Secondly, there's more uncertainty about Brexit. Remember, it's not only the UK leaving the European Union at some point, but also the European Union left out, and they don't know exactly what to do and how it'll impact them. So, and now we'll get more and more data at the beginning of September regarding that. Italy is sort of rebelling, okay? Italy, the third largest country in the Eurozone, they have a referendum in October about changes to the constitution. It's actually a referendum about the future. Also, a referendum about the future of the current Prime Minister, Matteo Renzi. And they began rebelling about the austerity policy. They're not much in favor of it. And finally, they began speaking up. At last, also, they have severe problems in the banking system. It's Monte dei Paschi, but it's also other banks. Lurking in the background, the stress tests didn't calm down any nerves, okay? So there's still a lot of worry over there. And, unfortunate news from this morning, there was also an earthquake. So lots of trouble in Italy. And this is the third largest country. The fourth largest, Spain. Still ongoing political uncertainty. I wrote here uncertainly. Anyway, so we had 2 rounds of elections here in Spain in December last year and in June, and still no government. There's going to be a debate about new government in Parliament next week, but it's unclear if we'll have a new government. If not, perhaps new elections around Christmas. Okay, even the Christmas Day suggested as an election day. That's the fourth largest economy. Let's go back to number 2 and number 1. Elections are already, in France in the spring and in Germany in the fall of 2017. In France, it's actually the campaign began this week with the announcement of former President Nicolas Sarkozy that he's running once again. He has to compete in the primaries. And so it has an impact on policy making, okay? But let's stop talking about politics and also why Eurodollar is important in another sense. Uncertainty about the Fed. We talked in the segment about Jackson Hole, about the Federal Reserve, okay? And their decision, will they hint about anything or not this week, is an open question. But anyway, the decision is on September 22nd, exactly 2 weeks after the ECB. Also something that will move Eurodollar. Okay, another thing to mention is the euro served as a safe haven currency in 2015. It was a big change from serving as a risk currency. Will it return to be a safe haven currency? This remains an open question. Another thing why I think September will be exciting for Eurodollar is that September has usually provided action for this pair, at least in the past 2 years. In last year, tumbled down in September after a very strong rally in August following the Chinese stock market crash. And in 2014, when the ECB announced further cuts in rates and began hinting about QE, it also tumbled down quite bad. Will it tumble down once again, or will it move higher? I'm not so sure. I think the ECB is close to its limits, okay? The Fed is not going to hike in September, so it might turn out to be a positive move for the euro. But again, we have political problems in the Eurozone. We have perhaps the ECB will do more, and it's too early to say. I mean, I don't have a clear bias at the moment. Don't worry. Once we reach September, I'll have a clear bias. Again, I may be wrong, I may be right, but anyway, what's more important is to look at the levels, perhaps, at this point. So euro dollar currently 112.95, 112.40 is some support, 111.90 the post-Brexit high. A few more lines here, 111.50, 110.50. Of course, the post-Brexit low of 109.05 is very strong support. If we zoom out, okay, so all in all, the ranges have been quite steady. So below this line, we have 108.20. This was the March low. Euro dollar fell all the way to that level when Draghi announced all the new measures, but then shot higher when he said, basically, for now it's enough. Later on, he said, well, not so sure. Below this level, 107.20, another stepping stone to the downside. And the level seen in December, 105.20, also another Draghi disappointment. Another time the expectations were high in the sky and the reality was much weaker. And the last line is 104.60, which was the 13-year low seen in March last year. Looking up, 114.20 is the post-Brexit high, all very, very closely by 114.60, which is 1,000 pips below that, sorry, above that 13-year low. And then 116.16, the high for this year, 116.16, the high for 2016. And above this line, we have the 117.12 level, which was the peak of 2015. And if we shoot even higher, of course, the round number of 120 is a good line to watch. Anyway, I'm happy that euro dollar did wake up. It's still rubbing its eyes just a bit. It's still a bit sleepy. I think, though, we should be prepared for the big events in September. First and foremost, and the biggest events are September 8th, ECB meeting, September 22nd, the Fed decision. But in between, all the speculation, all the data, Eurozone inflation figures, US retail sales, political developments in Italy towards the referendum, political developments in the US towards the elections, everything is heating up and volumes are coming back. Okay.